Vice Chair Womack,
Present.
Board Member Nicholson,
Here.
Board Member Conan,
Here.
Board Member Duhan,
Here.
Board Member Harris.
Here. Was that a question?
Board Member.
Okay, we will open it up for public comments. Do we have anybody this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay, go ahead and close public comments. Approval of minutes from previous meetings.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented from 25 July, please, into record.
I'll second. There were no errors?
Wow.
And she went perfectly.
All right.
Not the first time.
All right,
It is good possible.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 6-0. Consider possible action, discuss and consider possible recommendation regarding parkland dedication for Bright Tower Homes Woodmere Park. Mariana, please.
Alrighty, so we have a parkland dedication credit request in lieu of fees. We have Taylor Sharp from the city's planning department here, who's going to kind of help us out with this agenda item, as well as the Bright Tower representatives on the phone, or virtually. So do you have a PowerPoint or a presentation that you would like to share? You want to share your screen? Yeah, Mr. Green or Mr. Jackson.
Do we have one, Tal? We do.
I know it was in your backup material, so.
1 second. I'll be right back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't want to share.
Okay, just 1 second.
While they're pulling that up, could you give me a description of exactly where that is? Because I was having trouble.
I got it.
on
Yay.
one.
Okay. I don't feel so bad.
It's not applied. It's behind it.
Yes, it's between FM 150 and 158 near Cool Springs.
Okay. I'm not used to this Teams, so I'm not exactly sure how to share what I have unless you want me to email it to you right now and then you can share it on your screen.
Can you email it to Taylor real quick?
Or Adam, you can share it with me and I can share it. You
All right,
email
I'll send it
me.
to you, Tal. That's fine. no
Okay, I
problem.
can share it from there. I don't have that
Appreciate it.
presentation.
Okay, it's only 614 megs. So, do you want me to go ahead and just talk a little bit about what we're doing, or do you want me to just wait? Whatever your normal protocol is.
I mean, you go ahead and give an overview while you're waiting to load it up. That'd be great.
Okay. Well, my name is Adam Green, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Land Acquisition and Development for Bridge Tower Homes. It's not Bright Tower, it's Bridge Tower. We are a developer of communities that are for rent. We are working in Kyle. We are in Temple. We are in Round Rock. We are in Lake Jackson and several other communities, both on the Austin side and the Houston side. This particular project is one that my firm bought the land for I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we have spent the better part of a year crafting this community, working with the planning department, the city council, the planning commission, and it happens to be, and it's just a coincidental thing in a good way for both of us meaning my firm and the city, is that This particular project is the first project that has been approved or is in the process of being approved using the new VIBE plan that the city has adopted. So in talking to the city about this project, we ended up going back and forth as to what this thing should look like. We have certain needs that we have to fulfill in order to make the project work. And but we also had to do that in the of what the city wanted to do. For example, when we first got there, we knew that the front half of the property was commercial, and then it was residential and so forth. And it's got that sort of hammer look to it. It's got a big square at the top, and then a long. Tal, did you get that yet?
Yes.
Okay, it's got a big square at the top and then a long, sort of narrow body. And one would have thought at that time, or we proposed at that time, that the commercial space, because we knew that the city wanted commercial space, that they would want that in the front because of the main road that goes by. Well, it turns out that's not what they were thinking. And at the time, we did not know that at the rear of this property, there would be there is a large mud that is going in. And then there's a road down in the back. So that brought up the notion of moving the commercial from the front to the back, which we have done. Now, coming forward towards this discussion with you all, one of the things that we negotiated with the city through with Pam Madeir, who is on with us now. Pam's our attorney and a big help. We negotiated where we have some commercial space for the future. We have, there's an active spring on the property, which creates a water feature. We had the VIBE trail that we had to deal with. And we had some things that we wanted to do in terms of programming the community. When I say programming, the people that are our financial partners are a big real estate investment trust, but what makes them significantly different than a lot of the other folks that are out there doing what we do is that their 2/3 of their business is healthcare. They are the largest owner of medical office buildings in the country that are on hospital campuses. And then they have lots and lots of adult living facilities. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because their version, their view of what is done is about health. It's about getting out. It's about walking down a trail. It's not one of these things where we're going to build a swimming pool and there's the workout room and everybody needs to leave their house and go to the workout room. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is that the design for the community has, for example, rear load garages. That is so the front doors can face other front doors. Now, you know, people are people. Not everyone is going to get out and say hi to their neighbor or like that, but they will have that opportunity. And then to snake down the middle of the site, and we'll bring it up for you here in just a second, is the VIBE trail. And so the notion or the idea came about, well, what do we do about this lake area, which is now, you'll see down in the back. And the decision was that the city insisted, and I mean that in a good way, not a negative way, that be a public area. So what we ended up doing was, if you see, you'll see the VIBE trail snaking through there. And so it is not a square that we're intending to donate just to encompass the lake. It's actually a circle. So that way we can do some programming with things like food trucks and other activities for children because it's a nice area. But we also want to be in a position to follow along with the city and what we agreed to do and make this area that is in the back where you see the water a public space. And so the company, in talking through it, decided that if it is going to be a public space, then we should give it to the public. Ergo, this is why we are here with you this evening, because we would like to donate that land that has that water feature and the green that's around it and so forth to the city. And I'm sure there will be questions, but the long and short of it is that we feel good about wanting to do this now in our minds, assuming that you all will agree to it, working out the mechanics of that. And the mechanics include things like liability, things like maintenance, because just this area alone, out of the, in talking about just landscaping and greenery and so forth, is probably about $600,000 or $700,000. So that does not include the rest of all of the landscaping that we're putting in the rest of the community as we build it. So I think that's what I wanted to say. And if anybody, either Tal or Pam, has any additional comments that, you know, on stuff that I may have missed, be my guest.
Yeah, I think there was a question about where this is located. So I just wanted to share real quick. So it's on the southeast side of town. It is this T-shaped, I don't know if you can make out the outline, but it's this T-shaped piece of property here. You can see the what we call the oxbow shaped pond area here that's in the plan that you referenced earlier. And so this is the property here that's shown in the plan. Let me back up a second here, pull up the right image. So that's this oxbow here. So I'm not sure if that's clear to everyone where that's at, or if there's any questions about the location. Does that make sense to everyone? Where downtown is this area here, and then site's located southeast, if you will, of downtown.
Where does 158 run?
158's here.
150 is there.
150, I'm sorry, is here. 158's back here, correct.
Yeah, okay, I'm found. Thank you.
Okay.
One note that sorry, were you still talking, Tal?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to make a note is I appreciate, I don't know if I see Will I can't see Will at the conference room or not, but my eyes are getting bad with my age. But anyway, one thing that Will mentioned to the commissioners at our planning commission hearing was that, he felt like this was the textbook case of what the city would want to see for a project. As without going into all the detail, as Adam mentioned, the project was not originally designed like this, and it was basically input from city management, the mayor, the city manager. This went to council in executive session and back out. And literally a year process in redesigning and also including Todd Kaiser, a local architect in the area that really understands kind of, I think, better than some of us do, really what the city's vision is for the area, and more importantly for parks and green space and open space and connectivity. And that's really what this layout reflects. It's the combination of all of that input over that extended period of time.
Yeah, that's a great point, Pam. And just to add to that real quick is, the Vibe Trail is such an important part of the future of Kyle. And so this development actually, to Adam's point, picks up, the trail at this point here, and then carries it through and then up through our property with a future extension connecting over as part of this regional vibe trail to future development to our east. And then as it goes on up into the project, it goes through the center of the project and then out, if you will, to our north and connects up to future trail that will happen in the future to the north. So everything's been planned in accordance with that. To Pam's point, we've worked with staff and Scott, with the city manager on how this would all flow through the property and then be able to tie into the future in that sense. The development itself, as Adam touched on, is more of a new urbanist approach to design. So we do have what we call the front porch living. Majority of these homes face out onto green space, if you will. There's parkways set up. There's dedicated parallel parking with bulb outs for trees and muses and that type of thing. So, there's a large open space in the center of the project for more of a central park idea. To the front of the project along FM 150 is a recreation center here. We do have an aerated detention pond, so this will be a nice amenity for the community itself, and for all passersby on 150 we'll see this aerated pond as well as that rec center. And then towards the back of the project is the park area that we're speaking about with the Oxbow spring-fed pond out there today. The commercial area that Adam referred to earlier, actually working with Scott and Will, the idea that there'd be some type of outdoor plaza that engages this park area. So this will become a nice area for respite and for folks to, whatever the retail use becomes. But you can imagine if there's a coffee shop or some type of small, sandwich shop or ice cream, shop and that type of thing, that those who are living in the mud to our south, anybody coming along 158 would access it here. That would be more readily accessible. You could make your way through the project from the north and come down and also engage the retail. But, we see this as a nice little hub for folks to come out, sit out on the plaza and engage, the park space itself. So we think it's a huge draw for the community, and we feel that's the park sets up nicely for that. So this was the master plan. This was not the presentation graphic. The presentation graphic that was sent actually speaks to the site plan itself and then the park dedication area. This actually breaks it down further for everyone to see, but this is, see if I can enlarge this plan here a little bit larger. This is the area that we're speaking to that's outlined in red. It includes the Vibe Trail connection coming through until it departs and goes into the project. And then it has a circulation sidewalk, if you will, that's more pedestrian oriented. That goes around the pond itself. The detention basin is not a part of that. That's part of the development. But it would, be landscaped, and it would have the circulation around that detention basin as well. And we've been asked to aerate all the ponds. So all ponds will be aerated. And so that's the means for that. And then of course the landscape that would surround all this is, as Adam alluded to, budget wise, it's in the $600,000 to $700,000 range to landscape this. So so that's really the general context of the plan itself. We like to implement native landscape where it makes sense. Bold moves in that area, but easily maintained. Irrigated, drought tolerant type plantings that'll help with that. So that's the big idea behind the park area. So I think that touches generally on most of the sites. It's almost 5 acres in size that we're talking about.
Could you show the next slide, the calculation table?
Sure. The next slide, parkland dedication, about 4.84 acres, valuation says 178,000. Parkland improvement valuation of about 600,000 to improve that. In lieu of fees, $750 a unit for the dedication would be 145,000. Our valuation is above that, and then parkland improvement in lieu of fee is at 145. Again, we're well beyond that. So the request is for both dedication and improvements in lieu of paying the fees.
And then also a request for the city maintenance staff to maintain the public park, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, let me speak to that. That is the request that we'd like to make, given that we'll finish it obviously and create it in the way that the plan looks, but then once we're done with it, it would be better if we can have the city maintain it as a public space.
The board members, just like we've done with Cool Springs, just like we've done with Button.
Are Cool Springs for rent homes, or are they purchased and,
Purchase.
no, I mean, are these corporations or are the single family homes that are bought by these families in Cool Springs? So this would be essentially us maintaining the front of the permanently for rent homes.
Not, well, yes, they are for rent, but the way that we own them is actually in fee simple. So if you have, I don't know how many units we have, but whatever that is, if you were to look up the tax records after we're done building, you'd see the same owner, but you'd see it 200 times or whatever it is. And we do that in the context of the future, in that our partner holds the property for a minimum of 10 years. And then at the end of that period, they're either sold as individual single family homes, or our partner keeps them, which happens as well. So that is how they are, that's how the project is owned. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. It's not a big apartment complex, if that's what, that's not our thing. We don't do that.
So they are looking for a motion for approval of the parkland dedication and a recommendation on.
Where's your staff with that? I mean,
So on Thursday, last Thursday, we just got approved for 5 more staff people. The things for park, and I'll have 2 extras for rovers, and then I have my trails crew that would help out with this section. So it would be very.
Do you have more information on what $600,000 of landscape improvements is?
I do not have a tip, Kayla. You guys have, does it give us a planning measurements?
I mean, it's pretty generic.
I still don't like the idea of the thing.
Well, when you consider the acreage, so it's almost 5 acres. And as you saw in the aerial, the water is there for sure, but we still have to craft the entire area, grade it. And then once that's done, install the Vibe Trail, which is a 6-foot wide. I believe it's going to be made.
No, it's actually 12 foot wide, Adam.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
12 foot wide. We've got to install that all the way around it. Then we've got to, in addition to aerate the pond, then we have to landscape it. So it's not a far reach to see that just that piece alone can end up in that price range. It's going to cost us, my God, probably $250,000 just to clear the area the right way, because it's not just like going and clearing the ground for homes. We have to be mindful of the fact that there is water. It is fed by a spring. So, there's a lot more. It's not a, how do I say this? It's not a front end loader or a grader going in there. It's much more surgical. So that also takes time.
Right, yeah, the cost of 600,000 includes hardscape, irrigation, and planting for that park area.
Yeah, it's not just the grading.
So as I mentioned, that's kind of why Kayla is here representing the planning department. They've been in lengthy conversations back and forth with the city and the planning department. So this is kind of a step in the process, but the city did recommend approval after they might want to expand it a little bit. After they made adjustments as the city's asked them. Parks did, and this particular one, Parks wasn't as involved, was more at the city management level and planning. So now it's just coming to Parks because we hadn't been involved. So that way we know what's going on and that we can approve the parkland dedication.
So are these affordable housing units?
No, ma'am. They're market rate. So the average rent, we build while we build several models, it is either 3-bedroom models, both townhomes and single family, 4-bedroom models, also both townhome and single family. And they have a rental rate certainly north of $2,000 a month. I think it's in the 2,000 to 2,300 range. I'd have to take a look at it. The houses, there's not much difference between the houses and the townhomes, but there is. Sometimes it's $100, sometimes it's $200 a month. It depends on its location in the community and any additional amenities that the leasor, leasee rather, asked for, that we're able to do. And then, of course, as part of our obligation to maintain that part of the site that has all of the homes and townhomes and the amenity center up front, we maintain the grounds. This is not something where somebody leases a home and they have to mow the grass. We take care of the grass. We take care of all of it. And while I could spend a lot of time on it, we have some very stringent rules by which we operate our communities, and it runs everywhere from how long you're allowed to park in a certain location on the street in front of your house to quiet times in the community. The other thing that, since you brought it up, I want to mention to you, which I think is important for you to sort of get your arms around the whole picture, is Bridge Tower, we are completely vertical. What I mean by that in this case is we've bought the land and we already own that. We will plan the site, which we're doing. We will use our own people to develop the site. And when I say own people, yes, we will hire grading contractors and so forth, but the people overseeing them will actually be employees of our company. They will not be just people that are out there being paid to supervise something. Once that is done, then we turn the community over to the vertical team. Same thing applies. Yes, there are subcontractors, framers, drywallers, like any other single family home community. However, it is all managed, supervised, and overseen. Supervised and overseen, that's the same thing. By our own staff, people that we have on site that do that. That's step 2. Step 3 is when we're ready to lease those homes out. Up in the front, Tal, can you just go to the left there a little bit so we can see the amenity center? Yeah, up in the front there where you see that amenity center, when we build that has offices in it. And the folks that are in there leasing the homes, again, are our employees. If we don't have employees in the immediate area, we hire them. That's sort of step 4. And then step 5 is perhaps the most crucial part of this, is the maintenance and the day-to-day operation. And all of those people on site are our employees. And in fact, no disrespect intended to our brethren that do this in other companies, but one of the famous things that a lot of them do is they use their own people to lease up the community, and they stabilize it, get it all rented up, and then to save money, or they think they're saving money, they bring in an outside management firm to manage the community and keep it leased and so forth. We don't do that. We maintain it, we own it, and we're required to do that. That's part of the arrangement that we have with our financial partner. So I know that's a very long answer to a short question, but I think you understanding how we view doing this versus maybe some other firms that do it as well, I think it's just important for you to understand that we deal with this sort of soup to nuts.
How does planning and zoning and council view the dedication and then us maintaining that spot?
So ultimately, planning and the rest of the city admin has been working towards getting it to a point where we can recommend parkland dedication, but ultimately it's up to Parks Board whether y'all make the recommendation.
But they have been leaning towards it.
It works towards that, yes.
I just
we haven't-
think it's a mistake to be
Well, I don't like the
beautifying the
whole
area
model,
for
but
this.
that's okay.
I've never heard what the $600,000 includes. I'm thinking that if I came and said, hello, Mr. Bridge Tower, I'm gonna make a park and I want $600,000, it'll be nice, and have the bike trail in it and aerators, you guys weren't gonna cut me a check, were you?
Well, the parkland fees, I understand, are roughly $140,000 if we did nothing. And while I'm sure we can come up with some documentation for you, we're talking about putting in $600,000. Let's say it wasn't 600. I know it is 600, but let's say it was 500,000, and we're asking for $140,000 of credit. We're still spending $360,000 of our own money. And I know that it's the improvement is $600,000 because the guy that helps us price all of this out is on the phone here with us because he's the one that designed it.
Mr. Green, sorry to interrupt. I want to, it doesn't sound like the board has enough information to try to make a motion on this. When are you guys wanting to bring this to city council?
I'm not sure, whatever.
It's set for city council next week.
September 6th.
What I don't do respect, quite understand, is that I thought that the information that you had asked us to provide, which we did, was what you were looking for in terms of, trying to be able to explain out what we're doing here.
Also, part of the issue is that there is some of the concerns. What I'm hearing is there's money that I'm not really sure where that's coming from and what it adds up to. The city has already started working towards this being approved, but I think the board needs a little bit more information. So I think that we're probably.
Gotcha. What kind of information does the board need?
Some concerns for a breakdown of $600,000.
Okay.
I'd like more information. You said 10 years out that they could possibly sell the individual homes. I'd like a more concrete answer than they had the option to, or, because, I mean, to me, this is just going to be a forever rental land.
He said the partner. Who is the partner? The city?
Our partner is our financial partner. And what I was explaining to you was in 10 years' time, they have two choices. They can either continue to rent the community or they can sell the individual units. I can't answer as to what they're going to do, but the reason I'm explaining it in those terms is that if you were to take a look at what we were or how we are building these things and what we are putting into them and what has been approved by the city, I can promise you it's not vinyl siding and all hardy plank. It's everything from stone and brick to a whole bunch of different materials. I mean, this is going to be a resort style community. It's not just some rental community that's going to be hanging out there.
Yes. So our chair is asking me to just explain my concerns again. I'm basically.
As for the department dedication.
Right, as just the dedication itself. I just feel uncomfortable having the city come in and maintain this area, which, we don't know exactly how much, it's going to be costing us annually, and just to, a nice place for, instead of individual families in Kyle, but promoting and supporting a corporation which may or may not decide to give the Kyle families a buy these homes.
But sir, you're not supporting a corporation. We're donating all of this. It belongs to the city. The people from the mud across the street can come and hang out there.
I live in Plum Creek, and a good third of those homes are rentals now.
So
So I don't really see a big,
Are there any other concerns aside? So there's that, and we have the breakdowns. Are there any other concerns?
I think from like a staff perspective, we've been through it, the conversations, and we don't have a concern with maintaining it, only because it's what we do with all of our other dedicated parkland.
Sure.
what I think
Yeah, I
is we
understand.
have,
It's just a personal, I don't
Yeah.
need information or anymore.
yeah,
I can see starting out with a concern for it being rentals for 10 years because the city has this vibe area they want to create. And it's going to favor more toward people renting than buying because they'll be closer to that area.
I almost think it
Well, it wouldn't that be the case? But the case for our site, while rentals, that's correct. But the Vibe Trail is designed for property on the left of us and property on the right of us, which may or may not be rentals or single family in the future.
The company would need to develop this anyway in your own interest.
So can we just make a motion to come back
Well,
with this?
okay, well, hang on a second then. If that is the case, then what the position it puts us in is quite interesting, because on the one hand, we have, and I understand what you're saying, don't misunderstand me, please. Because we're just, talking through this. One of the issues here is that the city, how do I say this in a nice way? The city but they're insisting that we do this. The entire area there that we've got up on the screen, we, from a liability standpoint, and I think you would agree with this, that if this is our property and which makes it private property, how do we, from a liability standpoint, from a business standpoint, just say, this is a public park, because it's not, but yet the entire design is predicated on the fact that the city wants to have this as a public space. And I can tell you that at first, when I found this out, this was a while ago, months ago, I didn't understand what they were talking about until I found out that really what they were talking about was flipping the commercial from the front to the back. Once they told us that that's what they wanted to do, it made perfect sense to me. And that's why the rear of the property has got this commercial space in it. And there is a defined point where the residential that does belong to us ends. So
Does the commercial, that's not going to the city, right? That is gonna be
No.
retained.
no, that'll be retained, and it's zoned commercial. The idea there is that's for a future restaurant or a small shop or an ice cream shop. It's designed to be local commercial, and at the appropriate time, we will seek out
Okay, so
somebody to build that.
motion, because it's already been taken to the city and the city has already taken all of this into consideration. It will be public space, public use planned. I'm going to make a motion to approve this as presented. Anybody want to second that?
I second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Wait, 2-4.
City council needs it.
So that,
I understand it's happened in the past, but
Well, it's a lot like Urbana on 1626. It's a lot like Cool Springs, but better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We also.
I'd like to say it's not anything like Urbana. That's a competitor that doesn't compete, with this product at all. This, to Adam's point, this is more resort style.
This is nothing like.
This is
that.
nothing like Urbana at all.
That was one thing that we actually discussed with,
so I think that we would have a better chance of passing if we can at least just get a little bit more information. So I would like to make another motion to bring this back to the table with more information on the breakdown of how you get to the $600,000. Is there anything else that you guys would like to see?
Well, if we can't,
Be nice if, even though it's not determinant of our approving the parkland dedication, it would be nice to see some graphics of what you're describing as the buildings would look like, from like a 3D, not a 3D exactly, but you're saying some townhomes, they look like some of them are attached or shared walls.
yes, but we have no problem providing that to you.
I'm sure you have that.
But the specifics of this conversation is more about
There's a motion on
what
the
we
table.
do here in this area of the community. We've already been, through city council, we've already been through all of it, and
Excuse me,
after a year,
Mr. Greenard, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion is that we would like for you to bring it back to us.
okay,
And just with the breakdown of the $600,000 so we can see how you got to that number. And then we will vote on it that time. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
okay, we'll do it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Along with, we'll send in the graphics of what the buildings themselves will look like, so you can get an idea too.
It just helps
I
with the
think-
ambiance of all of it, even though it doesn't have really anything to do with
The dedication.
the
That's-
dedication. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Pam and Tal, I'll give you guys a call here in a second.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
everybody.
you guys. Thanks,
you.
everybody. All right.
He did not say her.
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they're gonna have to.
But he's claiming it's not.
Well, they may look nicer, but it's the same concept.
Okay, we're gonna.
$200,000-300,000
Guys,
trees.
We're gonna move on. Before you guys move on. Update and presentation by workplace. Partner?
All right, so this is just an update. Workplace Barn Park, 3 times now,
Yes, it's our 4th time.
so take it away. Oh, yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, members and Mariana, for inviting us to present tonight. This is just a general update. This is our fourth time before you. Previously, y'all have all accepted the parkland dedication. Y'all have shown support for the project, and we just wanted to keep everyone in the loop as we continue to add more detail to the plan and get further along in this process.
You guys see it?
Nothing up there.
Maybe I can't while I'm recording.
Do you have a timeline?
So we will be before city council next week, where we will hopefully be accepting the terms of our development agreement. And then moving on from there to start construction in Q1 of next year.
Okay. So we have the first one. There we go.
Thank you. You go to the next. Perfect. So we're gonna start off a little bit of a project overview. We have been here quite a few times. I don't want to dive too much into the details of the development itself. Only plenty of time to talk about the 13-acre wooded parkland to talk about, and leave time for Miles to introduce himself and his team, talk about some of the design, restoration, and sustainability practices that we're going to put in place here. Oh, little lag there. We're good. So a little bit of a project overview. We are bordered by both Marketplace Avenue and Burleson Street. You see the roundabout right there, just a short distance from I-35, H-E-B, Target, shopping centers in the background. And of course, if you follow Burleson South, you'll get to us here in downtown Kyle. The land was first purchased in the 1940s. It is the family-owned development. All of the members of the LLC are family members. You can only imagine how fun the meetings is. We have 27 acres in size. 14 acres will be dedicated into the workplace development itself, with 13 acres being dedicated to the city of Kyle for this parkland. Out of those 14 acres that is workplace, we also have an additional 1.2 acres inside of there that are internal park spaces and plazas. All right, it's very hard to see there. You have the central square, which the green is so vibrant that the text has disappeared, but that is that central establishment surrounded by mixed-use buildings. Now, the family-owned, or the members of the LLC, the family membership, will build and maintain all of these properties. So long-term, they're in it forever. They do not plan on selling them in the future. Moving on to the outside, in that blue shading, you can see the residential zones. Those are both townhomes, multiplexes, quadplexes, a lot of different variety, and provide some different housing options. So whether you want to rent a spot in the mixed use buildings or you want to buy a townhome on site, there's a number of opportunities there. You can see the bike trails and nature trails on this. I'll wait to dive into too much detail because we play these back to Miles as we go forward. Please. Now, I hope I didn't step on anybody's toes when I took this image off of your park's website, next to, and also took the liberty of adding in the workplace to the map. So now you can kind of that just had a lot of value to kind of to relay where the workplace it fits into your parkland distribution. So this is truly a central park, and it was just meant to be that it fell on the Plum Creek Plan Trail already. Just not even beauty and design, just pure good luck happenstance.
Is this emailed to,
It was in your backup material.
okay.
Sure. Also on your website, you list your amenities that are going to be in the park. So I thought we'd take a stab at that myself, starting with nature as an amenity. And I just wanted to emphasize how beautiful this park space is. This is not marshland on the fringe of Kyle. This is beautiful wooded parkland situated between two creeks in the heart of Kyle. Also, fitness court match requirement. I know sometime last year the Parks Department secured a grant from the National Fitness Campaign, and we will be fighting a $105,000 match to that grant. We will also be installing a playscape and kitty labyrinth. What's a kitty labyrinth? Don't worry, we'll get there. Also, the Plum Creek Trail will be improved to bystanders that traverses the park there. We will also be taking that Vibe Trail across Burleson through the trailhead parking and ending it at the tech stop right away under 35. We've talked with the city staff. They have plans for that extension to Steeplechase. So helping getting to that point helps facilitate that further connection. Also talked earlier about the trailhead parking we'll be installing, of course, accessibility to the park. There'll be nature trails inside the park, along with furniture, fixtures, equipment. When I say that, talking about benches, talking about trash cans, recycle receptacles, etc. And of course, wayfinding signage that can help you navigate through the park. Next thing. Don't turn it over to you, Miles.
Nice to see all y'all again. Next slide. So I'm with Siglo Group, and we were started about 13 years ago by Jonathan over there on the left. And we actually started as a conservation planning company, doing a lot of mapping. We work with the Open Tree Conservancy, Texas Land Trust, a number of conservation groups like that. And as Texas has just exploded and developed, we've transitioned a lot of work into this more commercial work and identifying opportunities for public space and ecological restoration. So that's me, Miles Payton, my collaborator, Haley Wagoner, another landscape designer, and then Adam Barb is our licensed landscape architect. He's been responsible for a number of really remarkable landscapes. He's got the eye for material and detail. Next slide, please. And so, we specialize in sustainable landscapes, ecological design, and most importantly for us is the human-nature interaction. We're not looking to, preserve this area and keep humans out of it. It's, to us, landscapes like this are only really valuable if you can have people in them and enjoy them. And when people really love a place, they become invested in it. And that, we think that drives its value. Next slide. So here's the overall site plan. And so when we were brought onto this project a little over a year ago, we got super excited about the whole right side of it. A lot of work had already been done on the left side, all the urban design. And the team that Jeff Barton had assembled did a great job of really packing a lot into a fairly small area. And that allows us to open up all this space for the parkland. So that whole right side is the parkland dedication of natural areas. And the next slide will kind of break down all that Joey mentioned.
What is, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. Your rainwater park, is that, can you explain that a little?
Yeah, we're, kind of the ethos of this park, especially with the huge natural floodplain next to it, is to try to bring as much of that into the development as we can. So a lot of the drainage will be kind of open drainage, a lot of swales, rain gardens, things like that. And those will also be brought into rainwater park. So it'll be a very kind of functional hydrologic system.
That'll be different for Kyle.
Yeah, we think it'll be, we've studied kind of the whole Vibe network, and there's a lot of awesome parks on it. And this one just has so many natural features that you don't really find anywhere else. We thought it best to really lean into that, into the floodplain, into the confluence of these two creeks. So Rainwater Park is will be sort of a microcosm nestled into that town and community there. So the next slide kind of breaks down all of the different public spaces, the smaller ones that Joey mentioned, and then much larger natural areas to the right.
You said you had picnic tables you plan on putting? Which areas or?
Those will primarily be in that central square and the Bonton. Those are seen as like more urban areas.
Yeah, I know this is like premature, but just what kind of picnic tables would it be? The concrete type, or would it be the kind of like, green rings of,
we were thinking kind of like a bistro table type thing, movable tables and chairs, like small round.
I don't know if everybody else would agree, but my big thing is putting chests in parks. So if you would be able to, if I could suggest maybe, an implanted chessboard on any of these picnic tables, that'd be really great.
That's cool. Yeah. I think we can move on to the next slide.
That's definitely been part of the conversation. So
Yeah.
You're not far off. Right, south, Chet says. We're achieving the right for the game to feature in our parks and plazas, but I'll put a check mark next to Chet's.
That'd be a big plus, I appreciate it.
And here's a couple shots from our very first site visit where we were just blown away by the top left there is Plum Creek. There's a dam right next to it, a really old dam that's impounded this long section. Every time I go there, I've seen herons, egrets, raptors. It's really cool. The bottom left is Spring Branch with a colossal cottonwood there, and then on the bottom right, there's a ton of icons that I believe Jeff Barton's father, grandfather planted.
Lex word.
Yeah, and the top right is the big open meadow. And we're mostly impressed by how intact, like, ecological this area was. You don't usually find that corner pasture like next to a freeway. There's a ton of diversity out here, so really trying to lean into that. And the next slide shows our kind of rough restoration plan. And we've put a fair amount of detail into this for purposes of pricing it out, understanding what's possible. And we know that's kind of a moving target, so I'll keep it fairly brief, but we'd like to really enhance that prairie. There's 2 points there, the magenta areas that are pretty thick with a few different invasive species, ligustrum and mulberry, that are choking out the native species that we'd like to remove and restore those particular spots. And same goes with Spring Branch. So leaving the field the same and approaching it with a light touch. And our kind of ethos is, we call it ecological uplift, is identifying these opportunities for more diversity, more ecological integrity, and most importantly, creating just a stunning park for the people of Kyle to enjoy. And then the trails. So after we worked on this park for a little while, we learned about the vibe concept, and the city of Kyle's encouragement to really bring it into the development. And I think an early iteration of it had a coming down marketplace, and we pulled it directly into the middle of the development. So all the businesses and homes could face it directly. And then the north-south trail, we thought it best to just run straight through that natural area and follow some of those old fence lines, run under the big pine trees. And Joey mentioned this, but where the trail hits the property line, we understand that's also a bit of a moving target. So we're trying to stay nimble there. We're in talks with the property owner to the north, who bought that and would like to develop it, and is also very excited about having the bike trail come across and through this property. And then we've been there on the east-west of Plum Creek leg of the trail under those bridges, figuring out exactly what the replacement would be. But this is just another tremendous opportunity to bring people into the park, get everybody engaged with these natural areas. And then we've put some significant work into the next slide, which is the play area. And so actually, I want you to the very last slide. Thank you. Jeff Barton, his family history of writers and journalists, and the family name word, the namesake of the development, he wanted kind of a literary theme. And we took that in sort of an Alice in Wonderland direction, which we thought would be pretty exciting, and as well as marrying that to this concept of nature play, because this playground is going to be right at that interface of the urban area and the very natural park. So incorporating that kitty labyrinth there, which will be defined by native, and that's Lindheimer muley there, Orcheo Pond, things like that. So creating this very natural and nature-based experience for the kids. And we're working with a playground designer who builds these really remarkable precast concrete playground fixtures. So go back to the last slide. I think it's in order. You can see the plan there. So that's the bonton on the bottom, our mixed-use building with restaurants and cafes in it, and that public space kind of spills out into it, mediates between this highly activated urban area and this pretty stunning natural space. So that wraps up the natural areas. Expedient, in case y'all have any questions.
This might be ultimately my favorite park in Kyle for a long time.
It's very exciting.
One of the things we discussed when you came to us earlier, a year ago, I think, maybe the first one, when I came on for me to hear, we talked about lighting. So have you, done some more work on your lighting? Do you know how that's gonna be?
Yes, ma'am. Our design code that we will be will govern both our residential and commercial structures, and they, along with anything in the public realm. And it will demand that they are dark sky, so full, completely dark sky, and here, full cap on top, only putting light towards the ground.
Yeah, there's a lot of firefly habitat. So
Yeah.
we don't want to do it.
Well, and the birds and the
100%.
next. We're just getting so overlit and nobody,
Absolutely.
so few of the developers are paying attention to the lighting and we don't get to talk to them. You know, so we don't get to say, that's not a good lighting fixture. But you also talked about EV charging stations.
We're still working towards it. We have not locked down a particular EV charging supplier yet, but as those are, we are still in the talks and bringing them on. We ultimately will have solar on the side as well, and would like to see basically a carport of sorts where they will have solar on the roofs to charge it right there. Still possible, we're not, no complete promises on that. We will have solar. We're working towards EV.
That's great.
Does that pen plant, I obviously don't know, just said, but would that be a free charge or would that be a paid charge?
I think, well, so one of the options we are hoping to talk with Tesla, they are not opening their EV stations. It's not charging all EV vehicles right now. So it's only charging Tesla. And in that situation, they would immediately, it's all like your car is on the credit card. You go in, it charges to your Tesla account. You're definitely trying to get something that's accessible by all. So maybe Tesla has a pilot program that they're enacting right now to open up that range to all EVs. If we can get there, if they can get there in time.
Is there not ports that you could put on the Tesla chargers?
To like a
converter?
Yeah, converter of sorts. Not yet. That's not yet.
I'm sure
we'll get there. It's close. It's definitely close.
But yeah, there probably would be a charge for charging for the general.
We're absolutely working towards it. It is on the agenda. We haven't.
I mean, it wouldn't be free.
It would not be free. I believe it would be charged to either be, I don't have an electric vehicle. I'm not sure how the process works. I've only figured out how Tesla does it. So, but I'm sure we'll find, it would more than likely be charged to the user like gas.
Now, is this going to council or are we at a point where we're moving forward with design?
We are moving forward with design. We're going to city council next month for them to present the development agreement. And they will work towards that, for the terms of that in the next following weeks. Make sure they're all, we might go on a couple slides forward, a few more. All right, so all the amenities that we've talked to you about tonight, the playscape, the Vibe nature trails, the trailhead parking, those are all going to be dedicated with the parkland itself. So already in place, day one for the ribbon cutting on the park, Kyle residents can get out there and enjoy it. But on top of that, the land is so important to Jeff Barton and the family. We want to provide you with a set of plans, practices, guidelines to further possibly improve the park or especially ways to maintain the park. I do want to definitely emphasize that these additional plans we will be handing over will be recommendations. In no way will they be obligations by the city, commitments by the city, or requirements by the city. But say if you interact with your youth corps or your master gardeners, you want to have a plan in place that you can hand them so you can give them direction when they come on. If adjacent developments come up and you do get that parking loop fee or that development fee, you want to have a set of plans that you can hand to someone to go get priced. These are additional seating, this is additional plantings, you can go get that and to help facilitate that and move that forward. Next line, please. Next steps. So again, we will be before the city council next week. Previously, the parkland dedication has been accepted and y'all have shown support. With y'all's permission, if y'all are comfortable with and continue to support the project, we would love to have y'all's endorsement, that to go to city council. And at this point, if there's any additional questions, being answered.
I think this is really exciting and I love the natural feel of it.
And you-
The equipment, will that be adaptable for, say, kids in wheelchairs or anything like that? The children's equipment in the park area?
So the designer we're working with, the basically consultant, is certainly adapting it to a wide age range, from like 2 to 14. And we have not brought up wheelchairs with them, but we certainly can.
I think it'd be nice to look at it, maybe just have one feature that, a child in a wheelchair might be able to access.
One of your structures, it was just vertical logs, I guess, or trees. You just space those out appropriately to have a, wheelchair be able to pass through most of them.
Yeah, and I think those, the surfacing as well.
Yeah.
Making sure that's kind of stable system.
And wheelchair could do the
Yeah.
Lambert.
Is it wide enough?
It will be, it's been spaced out to about 40 inches.
We need a motion.
Yes, so do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we endorse Ward Park, to city council as having our wholehearted approval.
All of them? Agree? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do we have a second?
Rosen.
Yes. Brenda did, sorry.
No, the words were not happening at that point forward.
Everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
And we look forward to celebrating grand opening with y'all.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
It's exciting when we get to figure out how to get across 35.
Okay, you can walk it now, but it's not very.
I mean,
There's probably.
It goes under 35. but it'll
This
be-
last one should be too.
All right, discussion and possible recommendation regarding the Post Oak Community Garden. Stacy Anderson, please.
Basically, we're just kind of meeting, Laura Lee and I have been talking about grants and stuff like that. Sort of our next steps is really, so it's more of an informational, this is where we're at. I want to get one more fencing quote because the fencing quotes were like 36. I meant to bring a copy, traffic was bad and there was no way I was able to get here and go to the lake. So, but I want to try to get some ranch fencing quote for an 8-foot one. So I have a number, I just need to call that, and then I need to do an updated topsoil, because we met with,
Noel. Noel.
Vista,
Vista, yeah.
yeah, Vista, brewery, and she gave us a lot of.
And I intend, if the board has no objections, to submit by September 30th a request to the PEC for their help with fencing, unless the city objects to that. In fact, there's a lot of competition to that, and I don't know who else might be wanting in the city to apply. And to AARP, livable communities, and this is, by the way, part of the livable communities. I just ordered, they just came available and I just ordered a bunch for us. So I just thought you would enjoy having a copy of that. Oh, yeah, that's your copy.
Okay, I want to.
I thought it was really interesting, given the discussions we have around the table, and it gives us some guidelines about what good urban park systems do and how they're developed. We're well on our way to that. So, I would like to submit to AARP, and then Burdine Johnson, I believe, is the end of October. I'd like to submit to them. That these will all be for fencing, because we can do nothing until the fencing goes up. And it just, the fencing, of course, since we first talked about this a year ago, the fencing is.
It's like.
So my-
That's awesome.
One question is, how does the application like to, any of these places, what does that look like for that? If you're doing it to be applied to the city, does that entail?
We do it together.
Yeah, I mean, I just do the research and
Under the city.
write the proposal, and it's the city's, and there's just nothing.
Why would it be a problem for PUC?
Oh, because other departments in the city may be doing the same thing.
Oh, so that's.
The city is gonna wanna get, I don't think anybody else is gonna be applying to sustainable cities from other departments. Probably not to Burdine Johnson either.
Before we apply for any grants, we have to go before council and get their blessing, they're okay. So I'll add that to next Tuesday's council agenda and then get with Laura Lee to make sure they're prepared to go.
Right, that's not work. Thank you so much.
And like I said, I'll
Yes.
work on what we have to do out for Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We're gonna have a community garden soon.
Yay.
Well, I don't know about this.
It sounds slow.
One of the nice things to incorporate in that concept is that whole development between Waterleaf and Cool Springs and this new group coming through and wanting to integrate that stream. Well, our park is like kind of right there. The garden is kind of right there. So that's going to be a really very livable, attractive area.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, staff reports, Park and Recreation Department monthly report, please, Mariana.
So this Saturday, we have the Pie in the Sky event. It is from 12 to 8. Red Clark Park, only one day this year, not 3. First entertainer goes on at 12:30, which is Broken Arrow. And then we have the Jukebox Creatures featuring Argentina, LC Rocks, Kyle Park, and then the band that will close the day. Last one goes on at 6 o'clock. We have 2 stages. Stage 1 is under Ashton Pavilion and stage 2 is across from the pool. We still desperately need more volunteers. If you know anyone or even high schoolers looking for volunteer hours, let me know. The tethered hot air balloon rides will be between 4 and 8. And they're $15 a person payable on site.
That's reasonable.
And it's all weather dependent. It's all weather dependent.
Today, they're saying 30% chance of rain. So the rain's supposed to be before, this week, before Saturday.
And
Not so much the rain, it's the wind.
yes,
Well, I think, yeah, I think
For the
Saturday's
balloons
not supposed to
anyway.
be the one rainier.
Oh, okay.
More or
And
less.
then,
We don't
parking
know.
that
We
day
never
will
know.
be at the AMVets around Red Clark Park. No parking at the post office, but we will also shuttle from St. Anthony's Church. So it's 12 to 8. Rain date is the following day, which also has the rain forecast.
Yeah.
So that morning, Stacy is hosting a hummingbird education class downtown at City Square Park with the Haze Naturalists, right? That starts at what time?
9?
9?
I'd have to look, 9 or 10, sorry.
They'll be done by
Yeah,
noon.
9 by noon.
So you come March minutes.
Yeah.
So that's this morning. And then not next Sunday, but the following Sunday, September 11th, we will have the ribbon cutting of Heroes Memorial Park. That's a Sunday morning. You are all invited. If you do, you're more than welcome to wear your park board shirts. Let me know if you're coming because we do have designated seating for dignitaries. The procession starts at 9. Everyone will be set up by 8:30. It's about an hour and 15-minute procession, which concludes with a flyover. So it'll be Sunday morning on September 11th.
I'm sorry.
If we come, are we sitting or are we processioning?
If you come, you will get a seat.
Okay.
Yes, but yeah, the procession is the honor vets, the AMVets, the VFW, and first responders. So if you are any of the above, please feel free to join the procession. And then at the end of September, we have the Squeeze Box Market Day, which features the accordion. This year's lineup, honestly, where we have, one of the performers has been there years after years. He's starting it. And then based off whoever was available, it just ended up being pretty much all computer music. So it'll be a little bit different this year, but this will be featured on the accordion. And that's from 10 to 6 downtown on September 24th. Registration is still up for the Founder's Day Parade, which is October 8th, right downtown. And you guys, you all voted on the theme of Kyle on Track, which I've had a hard time finding a song for my baton rollers to go to. That's October 8th. Vendor registration is open for Center Street Trick or Treat. Vendor registration is also open for Veterans Day Parade. We are starting to schedule the 25 Days of Christmas and Santa's Arrival. So if you know of any performers from Music Mondays, please send them our way. We're gonna really promote that one this year. And we're also working on the secondary light up show at Greg Clark Park. It did go back to Greg Clark Park from Steeplechase since there is zero electricity at Steeplechase. And it'd be hard to do holiday lights with no electricity. Budget update, as I mentioned a little earlier, the budget was approved by City Council last Thursday. We were very lucky that we didn't get everything we asked for, but we did very well. We will be getting 2, 4, 6 new mowers, which we desperately need. 5 new park maintenance staff. No new rec staff, which we asked for. An LED mobile screen, so when we have our movies in the park, it doesn't take 4 to 6 guys to put it up. You just pull it out in a trailer. It's a big LED screen and you just play it. So that's kind of like a game changer for us. Some trail equipment, a bed track, a rough cutter attachment, a brush mower, a 15 passenger van. So we can do some mobile recreation programming since we don't have an indoor rec center.
Water.
Oh, the water truck, we got a second.
I got a water truck.
So we did.
Some of our big projects include aeration at both Cool Springs and Lineberger Park. That was approved. About 250,000 in pool improvement. Recreation software. We don't have to use our hands and counters. It's everything. A lot of park improvements, park cameras. And then the budget also included a 20% pay increase for all city employees with a $1,000 health savings card. So it's really a game changer, especially for our staff who are on the lower end as part of the park maintenance technicians. So it's really a game changer for our department for sure, as many other departments. So that's the budget update.
Was there anything you were disappointed about?
We did get we wanted a certified therapeutic work specialist. The CTRS even at a part-time level. We didn't get that, but we understood we got the park maintenance techs instead. And then we got new staff, but we need new trucks, so they're probably gonna have to ride 4 deep now. Disappointment, no, but we know in budget, how the budget process works, so we aim high, hoping that will.
Have you asked for a second swimming pool
We have not asked for a second instrument. I did ask for a rec center, so it made the CIP list, but it's budgeted at $0.
yet? Yeah.
Oh, and park restrooms.
On there.
We got approved for only for park restrooms.
Oh, great, where will it be?
Like all brand new ones, I think.
First, we're first aiming for City Square Park, desperately needs them, and then replacing the park restrooms of the other parks.
Okay.
And then taking the existing park restrooms and turning them into much needed storage space for our park maintenance staff.
So they won't be portables.
No, they'll be. So it was a good year for us in the budget. New staff, we have offered a new administrative assistant. She starts on September 6th, so she will take Michelle's spot. Her name is Ashley Gonzalez. And then tomorrow and Wednesday, I'll be interviewing for the special event manager position. Hopefully we'll get that full. We desperately need that one. As far as programs update, we are registering for Doggy Dip, the Halloween dance for individuals with disabilities, the cornhole tournament. Again, this weekend is the last weekend for the pool to be open until a Doggy Dip. And maintenance, I already mentioned the maintenance update, how we have the new staff. And looks like we're just getting ready for this weekend and then September 11th, really. And then straight into holiday lights. Do you have any questions?
There's usually a lot going on.
Well, that's all I have.
Great, thank you. So our next meeting is September 26th.
Yes. I will not be here that day, but a staff member will be here in my place. I'm marching alumni band. Fine.
Cool. You have to video it. Let's see.
I'll definitely be at that ribbon cutting.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably will still be out of town. I'll be out of town this weekend. So I won't see the.
I'm out of town for the viewing.
It's just my other place, my other house.
Okay, well then, if that is it, then it's 8:20 and I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second.
All in favor? Any opposed? 6-0.